Let's be real modern. Relationships are struggling. People are more connected than ever, yet more disconnected in love. You see it everywhere. Situationships instead of real commitment, constant ghosting, a fear of vulnerability, and relationships that feel more like games than genuine connections. Something has shifted, and it's time to expose the truth about what's really going on. Modern relationships are struggling because too many people prioritize instant gratification over genuine connection. In a world where everything is available at the touch of a button, people have become impatient when it comes to love. They want excitement, passion, and attention, but they don't want to put in the work required to build something real. Instead of focusing on emotional depth and long-term compatibility, many are chasing short-term pleasure, constantly seeking the next high that makes them feel good in the moment. This mindset has created a culture where relationships are treated as disposable, and as soon as the initial excitement fades, people start looking for something new. One of the biggest reasons for this shift is the influence of social media and dating apps. People are constantly exposed to an endless stream of potential partners, making it easy to believe that something better is always out there. Instead of appreciating and nurturing the connection they have, they are always on the lookout for someone more attractive, more exciting, or more convenient. This has led to a decrease in commitment and an increase in shallow interactions that don't provide any real emotional fulfillment. The idea of the grass is greener on the other side keeps people from fully investing in the person in front of them, and as a result, relationships remain surface level. Another issue with the instant gratification mindset is that people expect love to always feel effortless. They believe that a relationship should constantly be exciting, passionate, and fun, and the moment things become challenging or routine, they assume something is wrong. Instead of working through difficulties and growing together, they give up and move on, thinking they can easily find someone else who will bring back that initial spark. But real love is not just about the highs, it's about choosing each other even when things aren't perfect. When people don't understand this, they become stuck in a cycle of chasing excitement rather than building stability. This obsession with instant gratification also affects how people approach emotional intimacy. Many want the benefits of a deep connection, affection, companionship, and validation without actually putting in the effort to nurture emotional closeness. They seek out temporary attention, whether through texting multiple people at once, entertaining flirty conversations, or engaging in casual situationships with no real commitment. This behavior creates an illusion of connection, but it lacks the foundation necessary for a real relationship to thrive. Instead of prioritizing quality over quantity, people spread their attention thin, making it impossible to form a deep and meaningful bond with one person. The reality is that relationships require patience, effort, and intentionality. A deep connection doesn't happen overnight, and love is not just about what feels good in the moment. It's about showing up consistently, being present, and putting in the work to build something real. When people focus only on instant gratification, they miss out on the opportunity to experience the depth, trust, and fulfillment that come from a truly meaningful relationship. One of the biggest issues in modern relationships is the lack of real communication. People are more connected than ever through technology, yet meaningful conversations are becoming rare. Instead of openly expressing feelings, desires, and concerns, many rely on vague texts, social media posts, and passive-aggressive behavior to communicate. This creates confusion, misunderstandings, and emotional distance. Rather than having deep, honest discussions, people engage in mind games, mixed signals, and defensive responses, making it difficult to establish a strong emotional foundation. A major reason for this communication breakdown is that people are afraid of vulnerability. Many have been hurt in the past and believe that keeping their emotions guarded will protect them from pain. Instead of saying how they truly feel, They hide behind sarcasm, indirect messages, or avoidance. They expect their partner to read their mind rather than clearly stating their needs. This lack of emotional openness leads to frustration and resentment, as unspoken expectations and unresolved issues build up over time. True connection requires honesty, but if people are unwilling to express themselves openly, their relationships will remain surface level and unfulfilling. The rise of digital communication replacing face-to-face conversations. While texting and social media make it easier to stay in touch, they also create a barrier to genuine connection. Important conversations are often reduced to short, unclear messages that lack tone, emotion, and depth. People misinterpret text, assume meanings that aren't there, or avoid discussing serious topics altogether. Instead of picking up the phone or having a real conversation, they choose to send a quick message or ignore the situation entirely. This leads to unresolved conflicts, emotional detachment, and a growing disconnect between partners. Modern dating culture has also contributed to the problem. Many people play games instead of being straightforward about their intentions. They delay responding to messages to appear less interested, avoid expressing emotions to seem more desirable, or act indifferent to avoid looking too eager. While they may think these strategies give them control, they actually create confusion and insecurity. A strong relationship cannot be built on mixed signals and uncertainty. Clear, honest communication is essential for trust. But when people are more focused on playing it cool than being real, relationships suffer. Fear of confrontation is another reason why communication is lacking. Many people avoid difficult conversations because they don't want to deal with conflict. They would rather ignore issues or pretend everything is fine than have an open discussion that could lead to discomfort. However, avoiding tough conversations only makes problems worse. Resentment builds, misunderstandings grow, and small issues turn into major conflicts. Healthy relationships require the ability to communicate openly even when it's uncomfortable. It takes maturity to express concerns without attacking or blaming, and it takes emotional intelligence to listen with an open mind. When people lack these skills, their relationships remain fragile, unable to withstand challenges. Without real communication, relationships cannot thrive. Honest, open dialogue is the foundation of trust, intimacy, and emotional connection. If people continue to prioritize games, avoidance, and superficial interactions over genuine conversations, they will struggle to build lasting, meaningful relationships. Fear of commitment has become one of the biggest challenges in modern relationships. Many people enjoy the idea of love, but when it comes to fully committing, they hesitate. They want the benefits of companionship, intimacy, and emotional support, but they struggle with the responsibility that a real relationship requires. Instead of embracing commitment, they keep one foot in and one foot out, never fully investing in the person they're with. This creates uncertainty, emotional instability, and a lack of trust in relationships because one person is always questioning whether the other is truly all in. One reason people fear commitment is the belief that they might be settling. With dating apps and social media constantly exposing them to new people, many feel like there is always a better option out there. Instead of nurturing the relationship they have, they hold back, thinking they might find someone more attractive, more exciting, or more perfect. This mindset keeps them from forming deep emotional bonds because they never allowed themselves to be fully present in the relationship. Real love requires choosing someone every day. But if a person is constantly questioning their choice, the relationship will always feel unstable. Commitment issues is past trauma. People who have been hurt, betrayed, or abandoned in previous relationships often carry those wounds into new ones. They fear being vulnerable again because they don't want to experience the same pain. Instead of allowing themselves to trust and build something new, they keep their guard up, distancing themselves emotionally to avoid getting hurt. They may push their partner away when things start getting serious or sabotage the relationship because deep down they don't believe love will last. Healing from past wounds is essential for a healthy commitment. But many people fail to do this inner work before entering a new relationship. Society also plays a role in discouraging commitment. Many people associate relationships with loss of freedom, assuming that being in a committed partnership means sacrificing personal goals, independence, or excitement. Instead of seeing commitment as a foundation for growth, they view it as a limitation. This leads to a fear of being tied down or losing options, which makes them hesitant to fully invest in one person. The reality is that true commitment enhances life rather than restricting it. But people who have the wrong perception of relationships will struggle to embrace it. Inconsistency in modern dating also fuels commitment issues. Many people have experienced situationships, ghosting, and emotional unavailability, making them skeptical about love. When someone has been repeatedly let down, they may adopt a mindset that relationships are unreliable or temporary. This leads them to keep their emotions guarded, unwilling to fully commit because they assume things will eventually fall apart. However, entering a relationship with this fear prevents them from ever experiencing a deep, meaningful connection. Commitment is the foundation of a strong relationship, but too many people avoid it due to fear, past experiences, or unrealistic expectations. Without a willingness to fully invest, relationships remain shallow, filled with uncertainty, and lacking the trust needed to thrive. Social media and dating apps have completely changed the way people approach relationships, creating more distractions than ever before. Instead of focusing on deep, meaningful connections, many people are caught up in the endless cycle of swiping, scrolling, and seeking validation. These platforms give the illusion of infinite options, making it harder for people to commit and truly appreciate the person in front of them. When someone believes that there is always something better out there, they never fully invest in their current relationship. This mindset keeps people from experiencing real love because they are always chasing the next best thing rather than nurturing what they have. Social media is that it encourages people to present a filtered version of their lives. Many relationships today are built on appearances rather than authenticity. People post highlight reels of their love life, trying to make their relationships look perfect to outsiders, even when they are struggling behind closed doors. This creates unrealistic expectations, both for themselves and others. When people compare their relationship to the seemingly perfect ones they see online, they start feeling dissatisfied with what they have. Instead of focusing on building something real, they chase an illusion of perfection that doesn't exist. Dating apps have also made relationships feel more disposable. With just a few swipes, people can move on to the next option without ever taking the time to truly get to know someone. This has created a culture where people don't put in effort because they know they can easily replace their partner. When relationships become based on convenience rather than emotional connection, they lose their depth and stability. Many people are caught in a loop of short-term flings and situationships, never experiencing the security and fulfillment of a committed partnership. Social media also introduces unnecessary complications into relationships. Constant access to other people's lives creates temptation, insecurity, and jealousy. Many people entertain attention from others online, whether it's through flirty comments, DMs, or likes. Even if nothing physical happens, this kind of behavior can create emotional distance and distrust. When someone is constantly seeking validation from strangers online, it takes away from the emotional intimacy they should be building with their partner. Relationships require focus and commitment, but social media often pulls people's attention in too many directions. Social media and dating apps create unrealistic standards. People see influencers, celebrities, or even their friends posting extravagant gifts, luxurious vacations, and grand romantic gestures. This leads to a distorted view of what love should look like, making people feel like their own relationship is lacking. Instead of appreciating the small, meaningful moments, they become dissatisfied because their relationship doesn't match the fantasy they see online. Real love isn't about flashy displays. It's about emotional connection, trust, and consistency. But when people let social media define their expectations, they struggle to appreciate real relationships for what they are. Technology has made it easier than ever to connect with people, but it has also made it harder for people to form deep, meaningful relationships. Too many people are distracted by what's online instead of focusing on what truly matters in a relationship. Many modern relationships are built on convenience rather than love, and this is one of the biggest reasons why so many of them fail. Instead of truly connecting on a deep emotional level, people stay together because it's easy, comfortable, or beneficial in some way. They may enjoy each other's company, share financial responsibilities, or simply not want to be alone. But without genuine love and emotional investment, the relationship lacks true depth. A relationship based on convenience might feel stable for a while, but over time, the cracks start to show. When tough times come, when passion fades, or when real emotional challenges arise, the foundation isn't strong enough to hold things together. One of the biggest signs of a relationship based on convenience is when people stay together out of fear of loneliness. Many people settle for someone who meets their basic needs just because they don't want to be single. They may convince themselves that the relationship is good enough, even though they don't feel deeply connected or fulfilled. Instead of waiting for a relationship that truly aligns with their heart, they accept what's available to them in the moment. The problem with this approach is that eventually dissatisfaction will surface. A relationship that exists just to fill a void will never bring lasting happiness. And sooner or later, one or both partners will start looking elsewhere for the love and passion they truly desire. Convenience shows up in relationships is when people stay together for financial reasons. It's no secret that life is expensive, and some couples choose to remain in relationships simply because it's easier to manage bills, rent, or other expenses together. While financial stability is important, it should never be the sole reason for staying with someone. When love is not the driving force, resentment can build, and people may feel trapped rather than truly committed. Relationships should be about partnership, not just practicality. When two people are only together because of what they can provide for each other materially, the relationship lacks the emotional depth needed to sustain real happiness. Convenience also plays a role when people stay in relationships out of habit. Sometimes people become so used to having someone around that they don't even consider whether they are truly happy. They may have been together for years, shared routines, and built a life together, but they no longer feel emotionally connected. Instead of addressing the lack of passion or fulfillment, they go through the motions, pretending everything is fine because starting over feels too difficult. Staying in a relationship just because it's familiar can lead to long-term unhappiness, preventing both partners from finding the deep love and connection they deserve. A relationship based on convenience is never truly fulfilling because it lacks the foundation of genuine love, emotional connection, and mutual growth. Love should be an active choice, not just something that happens because it's easy or beneficial. Too many people settle for relationships that feel comfortable rather than pursuing the kind of love that truly ignites their soul. A major problem in modern relationships is the lack of emotional maturity. Many people enter relationships without fully understanding themselves, their emotions, or how to navigate the challenges that come with building a life with another person. Emotional maturity is the foundation of a healthy relationship, yet too many people avoid taking responsibility for their feelings and actions. Instead of communicating openly, they react impulsively. Instead of working through conflict, they shut down, blame, or run away. Without emotional maturity, a relationship will always be filled with unnecessary drama, misunderstandings, and instability. One of the biggest signs of emotional immaturity is an inability to handle conflict in a healthy way. Every relationship will face disagreements, but how a person responds to those disagreements determines the strength of the relationship. Immature individuals resort to silent treatment, passive-aggressive behavior, or emotional outbursts instead of addressing the issue directly. They struggle to express their feelings in a constructive way, often turning small problems into major arguments. Instead of seeking resolution, they focus on being right, holding grudges, or using emotional manipulation to gain control. A person who lacks emotional maturity is not ready for a real relationship because they are unable to handle the difficult moments with wisdom, patience, and understanding. Common issue is emotional avoidance. Some people struggle with vulnerability and refuse to open up emotionally, even with their partner. They keep walls up, fearing that expressing their true feelings will make them weak or expose them to pain. This avoidance creates emotional distance, making it difficult for a deep connection to form. A person who is not willing to share their emotions or let someone in fully will never be able to build a lasting relationship. True intimacy requires openness, honesty, and a willingness to be seen for who you truly are. Without that, a relationship remains surface level and unfulfilling. Emotional immaturity also leads to a lack of accountability. Instead of taking responsibility for their actions, immature individuals blame others for their mistakes or shortcomings. They refuse to acknowledge when they are wrong, making it nearly impossible to grow as a couple. A healthy relationship requires two people who can own up to their flaws, learn from their experiences, and work towards becoming better together. If one or both partners are constantly pointing fingers instead of looking inward, the relationship will never evolve. Growth requires self-awareness, but emotional immaturity keeps people stuck in the same destructive patterns. Unrealistic expectations. Many people enter relationships expecting their partner to fix them, fill a void, or make them happy. They place the burden of their emotional well-being on someone else rather than working on themselves first. This creates an unhealthy dynamic where one person is constantly trying to prove their worth while the other is never satisfied. A person who lacks emotional maturity will struggle to maintain a relationship because they are looking for external validation instead of developing the self-love and inner peace necessary for a stable partnership. Relationships require emotional intelligence, self-awareness, and personal growth, but too many people enter them before they are truly ready. Many modern relationships fail because people prioritize chemistry over compatibility. While physical attraction and emotional excitement are important, they are not enough to sustain a long-term healthy relationship. Too many people mistake intense passion for a deep connection, only to realize later that they are not truly aligned with their partner. Chemistry can make you feel drawn to someone, but compatibility determines whether that attraction can turn into something lasting. Without compatibility, relationships become exhausting, filled with constant disagreements, unmet needs, and frustration. One of the biggest mistakes people make is assuming that strong emotions mean a relationship is meant to be. Just because someone makes your heart race or gives you butterflies does not mean they are a good long-term partner. Chemistry is often driven by hormones, attraction, or even unresolved emotional wounds. Sometimes people are drawn to others because they represent something familiar, even if that familiarity is unhealthy. This is why some people repeatedly fall for partners who are unavailable, toxic, or emotionally distant. They mistake the excitement of the chase or the highs and lows of an unstable relationship for true love, when in reality, they are caught in a cycle of unhealthy attachment. Compatibility, on the other hand, is about alignment in values, lifestyle, and emotional needs. A truly compatible relationship feels natural and effortless, not like a constant struggle. When two people are aligned in what they want out of life, how they communicate, and how they handle conflict, the relationship flows much more smoothly. They may still experience challenges, but those challenges don't feel like a never-ending battle. Instead, they work through them together with mutual respect and understanding. Compatibility allows a relationship to grow over time, whereas chemistry alone often fades once the initial excitement wears off. One key sign of compatibility is having shared values. Two people do not need to be identical, but if they have completely different beliefs about life, family, finances, or personal growth, they will struggle to build a future together. When one person wants marriage and children and the other wants a life of complete independence, no amount of chemistry will make that work. Similarly, if one person values honesty and communication while the other avoids difficult conversations, they will constantly clash. A strong relationship is built on common ground, not just strong emotions. Another sign of compatibility is emotional security. A healthy relationship should bring peace, not constant anxiety. If someone makes you feel unsure, second guess yourself, or emotionally unstable, that is not a sign of deep love, it's a sign of imbalance. The right partner will bring a sense of stability and reassurance rather than leaving you questioning where you stand. Too many people mistake emotional roller coasters for passion when, in reality, a healthy relationship should feel safe and consistent. Focusing only on chemistry can lead people into relationships that are exciting but ultimately unfulfilling. True compatibility is what makes love last. And without it, no amount of passion can compensate for a lack of alignment in values, communication, and emotional security. One of the biggest issues in modern relationships is the fear of commitment. Many people enter relationships without ever truly intending to invest in something long-term. They enjoy the benefits of companionship, intimacy, and emotional support, but avoid taking the necessary steps to build a solid foundation for the future. This fear of commitment creates confusion, frustration, and heartbreak for the person who is genuinely looking for a meaningful relationship. A lack of commitment leads to inconsistency, mixed signals, and emotional instability, making it nearly impossible to create a strong and healthy bond. One of the main reasons people fear commitment is because they associate it with loss rather than gain. They believe that committing to one person means giving up their freedom, options, or identity. Instead of viewing commitment as something that enhances their life, they see it as a limitation. This mindset keeps people stuck in a cycle of casual dating, short-term relationships, and situationships where no real progress is ever made. They may claim to want love, but deep down they resist the very thing that makes love thrive with stability, trust, and emotional security. Contributes to fear of commitment is past relationship trauma. Someone who has been hurt, betrayed, or abandoned in the past may struggle to fully open up again. Even if they meet someone amazing, they hold back out of fear that history will repeat itself. They build emotional walls to protect themselves, but in doing so, they also prevent real love from growing. Instead of working through their fears, they sabotage relationships by keeping them at a surface level. This often leads to patterns of hot and cold behavior where one moment they are deeply engaged and the next they withdraw without explanation. Commitment issues can also stem from unrealistic expectations. Some people hold out for perfection, believing that if they commit to the wrong person, they will be stuck in an unhappy situation forever. They overanalyze every small flaw in their partner, constantly questioning whether they could find someone better. This perfectionist mindset makes it impossible to truly invest in a relationship because they are always searching for an ideal that doesn't exist. Instead of nurturing and growing with their partner, they remain emotionally detached, keeping one foot out the door at all times. Inconsistent behavior is one of the biggest red flags of someone who fears commitment. They may express deep affection and interest one day, then become distant and unresponsive the next. They avoid defining a relationship, making future plans, or having serious conversations about where things are headed. This uncertainty creates emotional confusion for the other person, leading to feelings of insecurity and self-doubt. A person who is ready for a real relationship will show up consistently, communicate openly, and make their intentions clear. A relationship cannot thrive when one person is afraid to fully commit. Love requires vulnerability, trust, and a willingness to build something meaningful over time. When someone resists commitment, it often has more to do with their own fears and unresolved issues than with their partner. A major issue in modern relationships is the obsession with social media and external validation. Many people are more focused on how their relationship looks to the outside world than on how it actually feels. Instead of prioritizing genuine connection, they seek approval from strangers, measuring their happiness by the number of likes, comments, or shares they receive. This constant need for validation can create unnecessary pressure, unrealistic expectations, and even insecurity within the relationship. When a relationship is more about appearances than authenticity, it becomes fragile and unsustainable. One of the biggest ways social media affects relationships is by creating false comparisons. People scroll through their feeds and see highlight reels of other couples who appear to have the perfect love life. They see grand romantic gestures, luxurious vacations, and carefully curated moments that make relationships seem effortless. This creates unrealistic expectations and can lead to dissatisfaction with their own relationship. Instead of appreciating what they have, they start focusing on what they think is missing. They question whether their partner is romantic enough, exciting enough, or even good enough, all based on images that don't reflect reality. The performative aspect of relationships on social media. Some couples prioritize taking the perfect picture or crafting the perfect caption over actually enjoying their time together. They stage romantic moments just for the sake of posting them, rather than truly being present with one another. This can lead to a disconnect, where the relationship exists more for public perception than for genuine emotional connection. A relationship should be about the two people in it, not about impressing an audience. When social media validation becomes a priority, the relationship itself often suffers. Social media also creates opportunities for temptation and emotional distractions. With constant access to attention from others, some people develop a habit of seeking validation outside their relationship. They engage in flirtatious conversations, entertain messages from past exes, or keep certain doors open just in case. This behavior can slowly erode trust, creating insecurity and emotional distance. Even if no physical cheating occurs, emotional infidelity can be just as damaging. When someone consistently seeks attention and validation from outside sources, it often means they are not fully invested in their relationship. Another challenge is the impact of social media on communication. Instead of addressing issues directly, some people choose to vent about their relationship online through vague posts, quotes, or cryptic messages. This passive-aggressive behavior can create unnecessary drama and tension. Rather than having mature conversations with their partner, they use social media as a platform for attention and sympathy. Healthy relationships require direct and honest communication, not public displays of frustration or manipulation. Social media should never define the success or worth of a relationship. The true measure of a strong relationship is not how perfect it looks online, but how solid it feels in real life. When couples prioritize each other over external validation, they build a connection that is based on trust, understanding, and genuine love. A major issue in modern relationships is the struggle with emotional availability. Many people enter relationships while still emotionally unavailable, whether due to past trauma, unresolved feelings, or an inability to open up. Emotional availability is the foundation of a deep and meaningful connection. Yet so many relationships suffer because one or both partners are not truly present. When someone is emotionally unavailable, They may go through the motions of a relationship without ever fully investing in it, leaving their partner feeling unfulfilled, confused, and disconnected. One of the most common signs of emotional unavailability is inconsistency. Someone who is emotionally unavailable will often send mixed signals. Some moment they are affectionate and engaged, the next they are distant and detached. They may seem interested but avoid deep conversations about feelings, future plans, or commitment. This hot and cold behavior creates confusion and instability, making it difficult to build a secure connection. The inconsistency is not about the other person. It is about their own internal battle with emotional intimacy. They may want companionship but struggle to allow themselves to be vulnerable and fully open up. Another sign is a reluctance to communicate on a deeper level. Emotionally unavailable people tend to keep conversations surface level, avoiding topics that require emotional depth. They may struggle to express their feelings, dismiss their partner's emotions, or change the subject when things become too personal. This avoidance creates a barrier between partners, preventing the relationship from growing into something meaningful. True intimacy requires emotional openness. But when one person refuses to engage on that level, the connection remains shallow and unfulfilling. Past trauma or unresolved heartbreak is often at the root of emotional unavailability. Someone who has been deeply hurt in the past may build walls to protect themselves from being vulnerable again. They fear that if they open up, they will be hurt, abandoned, or betrayed. Instead of healing and working through their emotions, they keep their guard up, making it nearly impossible for a relationship to flourish. This can lead to self-sabotaging behavior where they push away their partner whenever things start to feel too real. Emotional unavailability also manifests in an inability to prioritize the relationship. Someone who is not emotionally present will often put work, friends, or personal interests ahead of their partner. While maintaining individuality is healthy, a relationship requires effort and emotional investment. If one person is always too busy, distracted, or unavailable when emotional support is needed, the other partner will eventually feel neglected. A healthy relationship is built on mutual emotional investment where both people make space for each other's feelings and needs. The challenge with emotional unavailability is that it often leads to a cycle of frustration and disappointment. The emotionally available partner tries harder, hoping to break through, while the unavailable partner resists, feeling overwhelmed or pressured. This dynamic creates imbalance, where one person is constantly giving and the other is holding back. Relationships thrive when both partners are emotionally present and willing to invest in the connection, but when emotional unavailability is present, true intimacy and stability become nearly impossible. At the core of all these issues is one simple truth: people are afraid. Afraid of getting hurt, afraid of being vulnerable, afraid of choosing the wrong person, afraid of investing in something real only to watch it fall apart. But avoiding love out of fear only leads to more disappointment. Real relationships require courage. They require effort. They require two people willing to show up, be honest, and build something meaningful together. And until people start valuing love over convenience, connection over attention, and commitment over temporary pleasure, modern relationships will continue to suffer.